Shalom, Margo Huss here. I'm a little bit sniffly today, so the conversation that you're about to listen to with my brother in Christ, Nick Patterson, will have me sniffling and snorting the whole way through. So try and ignore that and focus on the conversation. Nick Patterson, you will know him as the man who took on the Vic Police and the law during the COVID lockdowns. So I hope the conversation blesses you as it blessed me. And let us know what you think in the comments at the end. God bless you. Shalom, Nick. How are you going today?
Yeah, good. How are you, Margo?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
No worries. Happy to be here.
So if you just want to let the audience know just a little bit about who you are.
Look, I'm a Christian. I'm a father, and I've got a bit of a will for getting things done and doing things that a lot of people aren't willing to do, and they're usually moral things of integrity. Getting punched up by the police for running rallies in Melbourne against the COVID lockdowns, getting put in jail. I was a professional fighter in the past, and that's what I did as a profession for just over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some anti-child trafficking work. I've worked on the border of Arizona and Mexico with a group called the Veterans on Patrol. And I've been involved in different sorts of activism for a while, and that started with the child trafficking. Actually, it started before that. Started with the Safe Schools program, and then as you dig deeper and deeper, you look at some of these people who are the architects of these sexual education programs for children, and then you look at their backgrounds, who they're connected with, and then you see there's a great big web. So then I got involved with the COVID. I guess the COVID reaction that many of us had when the government said you've got to close your businesses down. I had a gym for 12 years, and the government's telling me that I have to shut it down when I know that there's no grounds for them to compel me to shut it down. So I didn't. And as a result of that, police came to my gym, then more police came, then 18 police cars and Channel 7 came, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then eventually they just falsified evidence against me, and they assaulted us and put me in jail. So a lot of people know me from that situation that I went through. Mostly my hyper focus has been the Islamic issue, which I see, and it's not just the Islamic issue, it's our culture and our values. So as a biblical Christian, I know where freedom of speech comes from. I know where freedom of assembly, freedom of protesting comes from. Protesting really, it was solidified with the Protestant Reformation, which is the protesting against the Catholic Church and the Catholic power. I understand that freedom of speech was underpinned by Bible verses. The anti-slavery legislation was brought in by a guy named William Wilberforce. And because I know the history of that and the Christian history, I understand why the West has been so prosperous and such a great place to be. But I see there's this Marxist attack on the West, and specifically Christianity, as well as an unholy alliance between the Marxists left and the Muslims.
Yeah.
The Islamic community, which to me doesn't make sense until you dig a little deeper and you realize there's a lot more going on, and both of these groups hate the West and hate our Christian roots and Christian heritage, and they're both working very hard to remove it and erase it. So that's been my hyper focus at the moment, and that's where I'm at.
So let's discuss this whole Mamdani or whatever his name is.
I've only just gotten onto him. I've seen stuff, but I didn't know how extreme he was.
I know Charlie Kirk had an issue with him recently, or just before he passed on. I think he had tweeted or whatever things about him, but I didn't realize, how actually big he was until he got voted in. It was a bit of a shock.
Yeah, well, I haven't been following the whole situation over there, but the fact that, we know that there's large amounts of money going, lobbying these and paying these government officials and inflating the corruption. We know that it was about $1 trillion of Qatari money We know this.
Yeah.
This is on the record, has gone to Western universities to
Yeah.
promote socialist ideas
Yeah.
and Islamic ideals. So we know that's happening. If that's happening, I would assume that politicians are getting paid money as well to bring in is pro-Islamic, pro-socialist. So I think of socialism and socialist policies as being policies to destroy our Christian culture, and then pro-Islamic ones to replace it. So one removes, the other replaces, and the replacement is Islam, and the removal, the removal brigade is the socialist movement.
Yeah. Makes no sense. Like, I mean, the reason we are free in the West is because the Christian values. In New York City is almost like, isn't it the beacon of liberty and freedom?
Well, some would say it probably isn't, but it's meant to be. I think it is meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You see these crazy leftists who are so hell-bent on destroying the Christian way, and they're using protesting, which is a Christian way. They're using that right to destroy that right.
They're using all our values to destroy their lives, really.
Because they don't even realize that the right to protest is only afforded to them because of Christianity. It doesn't exist outside of that. That's the idea. And other places in the world where they protest, where they're not protesting from a Christian perspective, they actually are, because the only reason they know to protest in that particular way is because it's a Christian principle. And there's a whole bunch of Bible verses that underpin this.
Yeah.
On top of that, you've got equality between the genders, not the woke leftist version of it, but the true version, which is that men and women are both made in God's image.
Yeah.
Now, think of how unique that is.
Yeah.
The Western society builds the society from that basis that there's a God who made us, both male and female, to Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, in his image.
Yeah,
so we have this amazing value by virtue of just being born, not by virtue of what we do, what education we have.
Exactly.
And that's what separates the West, and that's why there was always freedom and prosperity. But because I would say the ruling class, the oligarchs that run everything, don't want that to be a beacon of light to the rest of the world anymore. They've got to replace it with something that they can use to control us. And I think Satan's got his horses in the race, but the biggest horse in the race is the Islamic horse, and that's the one that's going to be their champion if we let it. The remnant of real Christians are going to be preserved through this challenge. And I think there's never been a more important time and a more obvious time to actually stand up and speak loudly, because speech is our most powerful weapon, because you have the ability to inspire people and invoke ideas that will go to war with those false ideas. And so that's our biggest weapon. So if we just have the courage to do that and to speak up and to speak boldly, I think many will become encouraged, and then there'll be more power, reserved for the people that believe in Christian values and principles.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was actually speaking to a friend this morning, and he was actually saying that he wouldn't mind an Islamic society. And I was like, are you okay? And I think the difference is, I think I understand a little bit as to why, because Islam is more kind of traditional. They have their traditional gender roles. Women know their place. Whereas, here in the West, they're not having children. They've kind of lost their way a little bit in terms of, having a nuclear family, and women have become feminists, and which is really, which again confuses me, the fact that the feminazis are aligning with the Muslims, because, what's going to happen to them if we do have Sharia law come into place one day?
Well, they'll marry young girls off, children, multiple wives. The husbands don't have to get permission from the other wife to marry another wife. They can do it in secret. They can, they can beat them. And I'm not saying all Muslims do this. They don't, but there's a lot that do.
Yeah.
We see the acid attacks on women, and then we see the attacks on women and the rapes on women who aren't covered.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
in Iran and places like that, in Egypt. So it is a completely dominating force. It doesn't, and what it lacks is the beauty and the virtue and the honor and the integrity and all of that really good stuff. It lacks all of that.
Yeah.
But we don't lack it in Christianity.
No.
So Christianity has all of those other beauties, and it has the strength and power to defend itself.
Yeah. Well, it's the foundation of love, it's the basis. Love is the basis of that. Whereas in Islam, it's more, it's just fear and control.
It's submission through fear and coercion.
Yeah.
If you don't, you must convert or pay us a tax or we'll kill you. So, I mean, you think of all those people that converted to Islam, they had a sword to their neck.
Yeah.
And we're going to take your daughter off you. Oh, she's a beautiful daughter. We would like to make her Muslim. Like, just think of what the type of coercion that they would have. And I think there would have been a lot of people that would have said, I don't want my daughter to be taken. I don't want this. We just protect her. They probably said the Shahada, which just by virtue of saying some words that somehow makes you a Muslim. Like, there's no value in that. Whereas in Christianity, you have to actually live a Christian life.
Exactly.
And you're going to be known by your fruits. It's very, very different. It's almost like you could think of it or use an analogy of a movie, like a science fiction movie called The Body Snatchers, where they come in and these aliens take over. That's what happens.
Yeah.
It's not like people are going, I'm so inspired with Islam. It's Muhammad's life is so beautiful and amazing. I want to become a Muslim. That's not what's happening.
No.
It's, if you don't join our religion and be one of us, you're going to be either killed or you're going to have to pay us a large sum of money, and you're going to be persecuted. And that's the reality of it. And I can't stand idly by while people lie and say Islam, religion of peace, Islam's good, we can coexist together. We absolutely cannot coexist because their own imams tell us that we can't exist. Their own text and their own 1400-year history proves that we cannot coexist with these people when they become a large minority.
Yeah. Makes you wonder if the left have even read the Quran.
It's interesting because there's all of these, it's like they've really honed, the Islamic community have really honed their skills at arguing away or explaining away those volatile verses. Oh, there's no, and they'll point to some Medina verse, right, where it's peaceful, because there's two types of Muhammad. There's the Muhammad in Medina, then there's the Muhammad at Mecca. So there's these two, and one's violent, one's not. So they'll point to the peaceful one, but that's superseded by the violent ones. Yeah. Right. So when he doesn't have the numbers, Muhammad, to take over, he's peaceful. But when he starts to build up like a military force, then he becomes violent. Yeah. And this idea that they promote, which is completely blasphemous, that their God is the same as our God, is complete rubbish. Yeah. This idea that they revere Jesus as well. No, you cannot revere Jesus if you deny his crucifixion and his resurrection. Yeah. That's the whole premise of the gospel.
It's so almost, go on.
Yeah. No, I'm finished. That's it.
Yeah, and so it's almost more deceptive when they say they believe in Jesus, but they don't believe he's the Son of God. Yeah. It's kind of more deceptive that way. Like, I'd rather people just say that they don't believe in Jesus, rather than blaspheme him.
Who is an antichrist? The one who claims that Jesus, that he didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't achieve those things. And it's interesting because our Bibles tell us that. They warn us about this. But there's been a huge attack on Christianity. The removal of, like, just in Victoria where I live, well, we live in Victoria, they removed religious education, religious instruction from all the public schools.
In the public schools. That happened a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, but I learned about God a little bit from my mother, but never went to church. But most of what I learned was in religious instruction classes. Yeah. I went to public school.
Oh, wow. So did you grow up in a Christian home? Or? No.
Well, my mother would say she was Christian, but it wasn't really a Christian home.
Yeah.
But I was, yeah, look, I always believed in God, but I learned about God to the age of 14 from school, not so much in high school, but in primary school. And then when I was 14, I started going to a church.
Right. And so you chose that for yourself? Like you chose to follow Jesus on your own?
Yeah.
Did
So I
something
always
happen
prayed.
to lead up to that, or you just saw that was the best?
I saw, it's interesting, a little bit of a story here. So I was in the city and there was a guy preaching in the city. So I thought I'm going to go have a chat with him. I was 14.
Yeah.
And he starts praying for me, he starts talking to me. He says, street preaching. And then he invited me to go to church. I said, I live in the South Melbourne Commission flats. Like I can't get anywhere. And he said, we go to church over here in Fitzroy. Anyway, so he started picking me up, him and his wife, and he had a little baby, and his wife was pregnant with another one. Well, they would take me to church, and they did this on and off for about a year.
Yeah.
So it's all about 15. And anyway, then we moved out to Clayton, and I stopped going to that church. I lost contact with these people. Then when I was about 32, I started training this kid at my gym because I'd started a gym.
Yeah.
And I had been doing it for a couple of years. This kid named Jake. I'm training this kid, Jake, and then his dad would come in every now and then. And then I started having discussions with his dad about God. Had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
His daughter started working at my gym, just doing a bit of helping me out with the kids program. After a few years, so it would have been about 35, I was driving to my mother's house, and a few things clicked in my head, and I know it's divine providence. And I realized that man was the same guy that took me to church when I was 14, and I'm now 35, and I'm remembering this. So I ring him up, and I said, what are the chances of that? I just happen to remember that you're the guy. And he said, oh, you're that kid. And I said, yeah, what are the chances of that? And he said, no, it's not chance, Nick. He said, all day I've been complaining to God that I haven't brought anyone to Christ, and I've been whinging to God about it. And then you have this thought pop in your head, and then you ring me. He was the first guy that ever took me to church.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're great. These, when you open your eyes to the spiritual things, you realize how connected everything is.
And there's no such thing as coincidence, is there?
No,
do you speak Hebrew?
I can read and write the biblical Hebrew. Yeah.
Yeah, I was told that there's no word for coincidence in Hebrew.
I don't know about in modern Hebrew, but I don't know of any in the old Hebrew. Yeah, the biblical Hebrew.
Wouldn't surprise me if it didn't exist in the
no, that's right.
Hebrew language.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to Islam, we just have to look at what's happening in the UK with the young girls there.
When you look at the policies, like we've just had an upheaval of our bail laws here in Victoria. So in Victoria, and I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who works in the security industry, he told me the new bail legislation, so it enables the judge to, on their belief, decide whether or not to give them bail anyway. And then it also has a policy in there for if you're from an ethnically diverse background, to put that has to be considered. And so what and I looked at him and I said,
as favors, like as a
yeah.
Wow.
So there's less of a penalty because they're not from here.
Yeah.
They don't know any better.
Oh my gosh.
But like the Bible says, we're without excuse because we're born with a conscience. We're all born with the light that lights every man that comes into the world. That's our conscience. All of us have it when we're born. We don't all keep it. And if we go against that and we sin against it, we lose it.
Yeah.
Which is what these people do. So an example would be some Sudanese youths killed a Sudanese child recently. They stabbed him to death.
Yeah.
It was all on camera. And these youths were bailed. They had murdered somebody and stabbed them to death, and they were given bail.
Yes.
Yet I was kept in jail.
I know.
After police falsified evidence against me, and I was denied bail. You know why? Because the judge said that she thought I would continue to defy the chief health officer's directions. But if I had it been a different color and had stabbed somebody to death, I would have gotten bail.
Yeah, it's
And
so
that
wrong.
it's so ridiculous. It's
Yeah,
mad.
so
And
unjust.
you can
Mm.
see what's happening is they're basically putting the chains on the Western people who have
Mm.
grown up in the West, and what they're doing is they're allowing and enabling the invaders to come over and do whatever they want and get a slap on the wrist. So
So,
that's
yeah,
so we can't even defend ourselves
we're not,
really
I know.
without potentially going to jail. We can't even speak about things in the US, in the UK,
Mm.
without going to jail. I think I saw one a while ago. There was a group of Pakistani men that raped a young girl. It was horrendous, and two of the men went to jail. The others didn't, and the two that went to jail. So there was a woman who um, said something that was a little bit, they considered to be racist about those particular rapists.
Yeah,
And she went to jail for hate speech for longer than the rapist did.
yeah, that's
It's completely mad. So, I
it
mean,
makes me wonder, like, sorry, Nick, I'm going to
yeah.
interrupt you.
No, interrupt, please.
It makes you wonder because, like, a lot of these Islamic nations are wealthy. Do you think maybe these judges and these lawyers are financially backed?
It's interesting because there's so many people hating the Jews right now. They hate the Jews. They blame
Mm,
everything on the
it's,
Jews.
it's weird.
It is completely, well, it's because there's propaganda there. And where's that propaganda coming from?
Mm,
It's definitely coming from these Islamic, like the Qatari money, which Qatar funds the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood, their charter is the Hamas charter.
mm,
The Hamas is their Article 7 in their charter, the 1988 charter, literally says that they are going to kill the Jews. It says the Jews will hide behind a rock, and the rock will say, "There's a Jew behind me. Come and kill him." The Jew will hide behind a tree, and the tree will say, "There's a Jew behind me. Come and kill me." So this is their own charter. There was a 100-year plan to make the world Islamic, to make the West Islamic, and it's a document it's a legitimate document from the Muslim Brotherhood,
mm.
and it says in there that their goal was to complete the work that Hitler began.
That
So you
Hitler
can,
began.
yeah, that's in there. It's in this document. It's a 100-year plan to take over. What's her name? Bridget Gabriel talks about it in detail.
Oh, yeah, Bridget. Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there's a real agenda,
Mm,
and we need people to realize it, and we need to actually get things done now.
yeah.
We can't just sit by and hope. Government's not going to fix the problem that they are the problem, and we need to deal with it. And people are going to have to take risks and do things that they haven't done. I won't say too much, but I'll say you can read between the lines that we're going to have to do things because otherwise it's live or die for our culture and our values and our heritage and even our lives if we
Mm,
don't, especially when you see what's happening in the world today. I mean, there
yeah.
was another attack in the UK where there was a man, I think he attacked 10 or 11 people with a knife.
Mm,
This is regular.
yeah. It's happening a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And okay, so I just wanted to touch on the topic of Tom Sewell being, I don't know what he is, Nazi. He says he's a Nazi leader.
Mm.
So as a Christian, I believe everyone needs Jesus.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Yeah, run 100%. There's no hope without
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
And I've had them come to a number of events that I've ran. One
Mm,
was a men's breakfast event in for a church. They just turned up, and obviously the churches don't turn people away, and they were relatively respectful.
mm,
I'll give them that, but they kept evangelizing the Jew hatred, and I
yeah.
had to try to pull them up on it, and they just won't hear anything you have to say. If you don't agree with, you have to agree with the Jew hatred. That's their modus operandi. That's the most important principle to them, from my understanding. Then I was at another event at the Polish House, and there was a whole bunch of them came, and they came wearing their garb, their like their team shirts. They have their
Mm,
uniform,
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to have the swastika. So what they have now, because the swastika I think represents Thor's hammer around the it's a pagan idea,
Oh, yeah.
4 parts of the earth, and what they have now is just 4 hammers in 4 different directions.
Oh, okay.
So I knew straight away, oh, it's just a new version of the swastika. But anyway, they were there and they started just bagging out the Jews, calling out, it's the Jews, like howling wolves. And they ruined the night for the majority of people. So the evangelism from them is Jew hatred.
Yeah.
And I think there's more behind this. I think because they hate the Jews more than they probably hate the Muslims, and they hate, but it's a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Then they came to a Christian event that I ran in response to the Muslims circling around the cathedral, beating their chests and chanting a martyrdom chant in Melbourne. So I ran this event, and then some of them turned up. I thought that they were going to turn up because someone told me they were going to turn up, and I reached out to that person who knew one of them. I said, "Look, make sure they don't. I don't care if they turn up, but they can't be wearing all their garb and stuff. We're not going to have that." And my hope is just that they'd hear what we have to say, and maybe one of them has a reasonable mind and goes, you know what, maybe this Nazi idea is wrong. Anyway, they turned up and they were up to their old shenanigans, and they were creating a scene with an African guy who they said wasn't with them, even though we knew he was talking to them earlier. We'd seen him talking to them earlier, and we know that they know that kid because one of their other mates who's in that Nazi group is also did a podcast with that African guy.
Which one was it? Which?
It was an African guy.
Who did the podcast with the African?
I don't remember the other guy's name, but he's one of that Joel Davis's mates.
Was he from? I know he did a podcast with someone from England.
That's it. That's the guy.
Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah,
that's the guy. So he's one of their. So anyway, then so anyway, I had to kick them out, and the way they played the victim, well, we're Christian too, and you can't reconcile the Nazi ideology with Christianity.
No, you can't.
Christianity says there's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither bond nor free, there's neither male or female. All are one in Christ Jesus. The racial superiority doesn't exist in the Bible. That's why there's Christians in every demographic. You'll see them. It is not specific to a race. So so they're trying to take up the position that they're Christians, but they can't be Christians because by virtue of their ideology, they're ideologically opposed to Christianity.
I know. Yeah, it's so contradictory.
Yeah.
It's they're so focused on colors. It's almost so low IQ.
It really is, and that's why they are able to get a lot of the young kids.
Yeah, you were saying that's What do you mean they're getting a lot of the young kids?
The young boys, that are angry, teenage boys,
There's like 20. Are you talking about the ones that are in their group? There's like
they're like
them, and they don't grow.
Yeah, they're like young men, I call them boys because they're like at 21, 22, they're young.
Right. Yeah, they are.
And they're impressionable and they're angry. And think about the world that these young men are inheriting. They're not going to be able to find wives because there's not going to be enough decent women for the men. Because the women have been hypersexualized, OnlyFans. The state is pushing divorce, no fault divorce, and policies that take away your ability to be a man. They're not going to be able to own a house, and then they're seeing their history and everything taken away, and that they're actually in the middle of this. They don't really know their history, but they know it's being stolen from them. And then there's these other people coming in, like the Joel Davises and the Thomas Sowell, who speak very well. They're professionally trained spokespeople for this ideology, and then they're giving them their version of history, and they're evangelizing them, and they're giving them activities to do which appeal to young men. We're strong. We're doing, they do their camps where they go out and do their camps up in the Grampians, and they get together. So they're doing all this stuff, and they're getting focused on an idea that they believe in, but they only believe in it because they don't have all the variables to see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Sadly. And that's where I'm at odds with these people the most, is what they're doing to our young men.
Yeah, it's actually really sad because I do feel sorry for Australians.
It's sad, but I actually think it's really important that we do, because Christianity, I'm a Christian first before anything else. Christianity thrives under persecution.
Yeah.
And you can't, the greatest weapon against our Christian faith in the West has been comfort, keeping us comfortable, keeping us busy, bread and circuses, but on steroids.
Yes.
We lose focus on the important things. We don't have a need for faith anymore because we can rely on ourselves.
Yeah.
God's important, but so is my business, my job. When that's all taken away from you, then you start to go, well, I got it wrong. Yeah. You start to repent. You start to reach out to God again. When you reach out to God, the miracles happen. When the miracles happen, you become inspired. When you're inspired, you inspire others. Yeah. And then beautiful things happen. Yeah. And we become strong. And we can do things that we couldn't do otherwise.
That's actually really beautiful. I love that. So, Nick, what kind of things do you think Christians can do? Like, do you think that there is a political solution? No, yeah, neither. So,
it's cultural. If you look at places like Poland, where they still have their culture intact, or Hungary, because of their culture, and because all the people say we don't do that. That's not what we do. That's not who we are. The people above can't get anyone below to enforce it.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. So the reason that the COVID mandates and everything stopped in Victoria wasn't because we were protesting all the time. It's because of the effect of the protesting and the constant social media and what was happening to people who were being martyred for their belief, and what was happening was wrong. So we lost close to half the police force. Either they had left the job, or they were on leave, or they were on stress leave, or they were taking leave, or they were refusing to enforce it because they didn't believe in it. Once that happens, the small group at the top that are trying to perpetrate everything on us need manpower, and the manpower is not there anymore. That's how you win. You have a strong culture, they will never get the manpower. So that's why they use cultural Marxism, which is the removal of culture, is really what it should be called. The removal of culture ism. That's the ism that it is. It's the removal ism.
Yeah, they tear down the family, traditional family, because society reflects the family. If we don't have strong families, then society will obviously collapse.
Do you remember when we were younger? We're probably similar age, and we you'd still see TV shows where there was a mum and a dad, and the dad was a man, and they would pray at the table, and they have a family, and they had manners.
And she was a stay-at-home mum. Yeah.
Now we have things. I remember when that Modern Family came out, and they made the regular standard husband and wife family the most dysfunctional one. Right? That's written into the script. And
I've
then
never seen it, but I'll take it.
Yeah, and the two gay guys, they're more functional than the husband and wife. And then there's the old guy with the young Latino woman. So you just see how they want to create. And you can be any kind of family you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? And they're writing this into the script so that people have a false belief as to what family.
Yeah, even before Modern Family, they had sitcoms where they tore down the father. There were, those comedies where, the man was just a fool.
Like The Simpsons?
The Simpsons, Married with Children. Everybody Loves Raymond. The guy was just like, was just providing the money, but he didn't know what was going on. It was just
I have this conversation with my children. So they'll watch a movie, like a kids movie every now and then, and I will say, and I'll point it out. I'll say, because they always have the dad as being the stupid idiot, and the mum's always the strong one, and the wise one, and the one that holds it all together. And the reality is that's not reality. they're programming our children with this idea that the men are just stupid.
Yeah.
And then the girls that watch the young girls grow up thinking that men are just stupid.
Yeah.
And I've got to control everything. And then they end up with husbands and wives that are at war with each other.
Yeah.
Because they've only been taught that. And Disney lied to us all and said happily ever after. That's not marriage.
I know. There's all those rom-coms, you know. And now we have people like Bonnie Blue and OnlyFans who are role models to, you know, it's just becoming really sad and tragic. But
and that's that. I had a young lad that he's not that young. He's got a couple of kids now. But he's a lot younger than me. He was on the verge of splitting up with his wife, and I said, I was asking him why, because I was coaching him on the pads, doing boxing with him. I said, why are you thinking that way? And he said, it's not what it used to be, and you know, I'm not happy. And I said, so I had to give him some perspective. I said that the Disney has lied to us. It's not meant to be that. I said the reason for marriage is that all of those struggles that you're going through now, when you get to the other end of them, that's where you develop all the growth. Yeah, that's the reason for them. Yeah. So I said, you're in a gym now doing the hard work so you can get ready for a fight, but you know you're doing the hard work so you become strong enough to be a better fighter.
Yeah, it's character building.
If you don't embrace the challenges with your wife and go through them with her, then you're choosing not to develop.
Yeah.
And then the next week he came back into the gym and he had his wife with him. And
that's beautiful.
It was just great to see that, you know, and think that. But a lot of these young men, they're not hearing this information.
No.
They're just being told, do what makes you feel happy.
Exactly.
And that's completely wrong. They need to hold on. And I actually said to him, I said, think of your beautiful children. You want to give them the best future. And maybe you're not happy right now. Marriage is not about happiness.
No.
Short term. It's about struggle and building, you know, and getting through the battle. We're in a war now. Yeah. It's a spiritual war. And I said, and those children, if you were to break up because of something that's selfish, you're going to have regrets that are going to haunt you for the rest of your life, because you're going to see the effects of that decision on those children as they develop as well.
Yeah. Well, God bless you for speaking life into him. You know, I think that's the problem too. A lot of young married couples don't get to hear that side of it. You know, a lot of them are lost, and they need community. I feel like a lot of us here in the West, we're very individualistic, and a lot of married couples, they go out on their own. They don't become part of a community where, you know, everyone gathers around them and wants to see them succeed.
100% right on that. We build brick walls around each other.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, the cultural direction that we've gone on that probably didn't exist before, especially when we had majority of people involved in churches and church communities, which doesn't seem to really be thriving. Well, actually, it's starting to come back. There's a lot more churches that are reopening. Just down the road here, there's a mate of mine lives in Pearsdale, and he goes, mate, that church has been shut for about 11 years. It's just opened up again. I said, yeah, there's a big revival coming.
Yeah, praise
People
God.
They're looking for the truth, and they're not finding it anywhere in this world, and they're sick to death of the socialist narrative and the evil in government. And the only solution, they've probably tried all the other solutions, they can't see it anywhere. They're like, maybe it's God.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, like I see it in my church as well. You see the fruits of the hard work that you put into your family. And now you see the younger generation, you know, the kids that we raised having kids of their own. And it's like, well, you know what, if we can just hold on to this, who knows, you know, how that will change the culture. You know, it'll be our kids that, you know, have to go out and fight, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I know we're not meant to be concerned about things, but I every now and then I'll creep in the concern about my children finding, because I've got 4 boys and 1 girl. How are they going to find wives and a husband? Like, it's not going to be easy to find ones that are a match, because we homeschool our children. You know, they know lots of people, but we're not all equally yoked with the people
No.
that we're around, because we have a really a Christian way of looking at things.
Yeah.
We're happy to do the hard work. It's not all about feelings. It's about what's right or wrong first.
Yeah.
The feelings just are a byproduct of
Yeah.
the decisions you make based on truth. And you know what, you might feel really good making the wrong decision, but you won't in the end.
Exactly.
So you've got to find people that are on the same wavelength and have the same principles, because that's really where marriage, the foundation of your marriage, it's the principles that you each hold. And if you don't have them at the beginning, you're building a structure up, a building on terrible foundation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, I've been, because we started a YouTube channel called the Christian Warrior Project.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
We've been sharing a few things out there. So this week's topic was the removal of our history.
Okay.
And there's a few things that we shared so far.
Yeah.
One was a young lady at university, and in her textbook, it was explained Christian as a white supremacist group.
What?
Then there was Cambridge University. I saw this on RT News. They've updated their education policy or the education program, and now they're claiming that Norse, Celtic, and Anglo-Saxon peoples never truly existed independently.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah.
And the reason that they're claiming this is to combat racism. So they're changing history to combat racism.
How are they going to? Everyone's racist to a certain degree, or prejudice. I think everyone has their own biases and prejudices. They're not going to. That's part of the sinful nature.
It's like saying that people from the Caribbean, if I say that they're really good athletes, that could be considered racist.
I know. It's
like people are good swimmers, well, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Southeast Asians or Chinese people are great divers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They're to go after the Islamic issue anyway, because it's an issue that's ideologically based.
Yes.
People say you're a racist. It's nothing to do with race. You can be a Muslim from any race, right? But it's the ideology. But how's this one? I'll share. There's one more that we shared. It was a guy named, I think they call him, his channel's called Bjorn the Bull, and he's a historian on Viking history, and he's written a whole bunch of novels and books, and he's an authority on Viking history. He's a Norse guy, and he was offered a large sum of money, he wouldn't say how much, from a very wealthy Islamic country, so no doubt it's Qatar, and they wanted him to write a script for a TV series based on his books, but the idea was that he would be the authority to connect the idea that the Vikings were actually Muslims.
What?
And he just said that's a hard no. He refused to do it. Oh, good on him. Yeah, but a lot of people would go for the money. I mean, the Qatar's got so much money. They might say, look, here's $50 million. But I mean, that's the end of him. All the real people would just go, not interested anymore. But the idea was to, people wouldn't. I don't think a lot of people would follow him after that if he made a series that was promoting that idea. But a lot of people go with the money because their principles are not as important or valuable as those physical things. That's actually one of the lessons I do with with children when I teach them, like my children. But then also I expand that when other people bring their kids over, and I'll explain to them. I'll say, what's the difference between a spiritual thing and a physical thing? And then they'll say, oh, I don't know. I'll say, all right, put your hand out. And they'll put their hand out, and I'll say, can I put money in your hand? Yes. Can I put gold in your hand? Yeah. Can I put a piece of pizza in your hand? Yep. Can I put lollies in your hand? Yep. Can I put courage in your hand? And then they sort of stop, and I can't. And then they'll say no. And I go, okay. So courage isn't real then, is it? What about love? And they go, no. So it's not real. And then they'll argue with me. I go, no, it's real. Okay, well, how come I can't put it in your hand?
Yeah.
because then they're trying to explain it. And what I'm trying to do is get them to understand that the spiritual things are the most valuable things.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask them, can you put it in a box? Can you give it to someone as a gift? What color is love? How heavy is it? Is it heavy? Is it a funny shape? And they're like, no, that's no. And they go, okay. And then I'll say, is it valuable? And they say yes, because all kids say yes, because they're pure and innocent.
Yeah.
No, but it's valuable, but you can't even prove it exists. How do you know? And then, some kids say, I just know. It's inside. They go, oh, okay. And then you can explain to them that's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
And the spiritual things are more important than the physical things. Love's more important than gold, isn't it? And that's the point. And there's a lot of that understanding does not exist in schools anymore.
No.
The idea of principles. Principles don't exist.
No.
There is no principles except for the principal that runs the school and the vice principal. The other principles aren't there. It's all about stuff and status and objective things, and they're creating an objective mind which can still connect to those spiritual things, but when you don't value them, then you're not going to connect. Let's say you've got a strong impulse that something's wrong, but all these loud voices on the outside screaming at you to do something that's wrong, but you've got something inside saying don't do that, that's wrong. You're less likely to listen to that voice inside, which is the voice of God, because you don't really believe it's that relevant. And that's what's happened to us. But anyway, we're going back the right way. We're going to go through some struggles, and it's going to be for a good purpose, because we can see the fruit already in that churches are opening up again, and people are spewing out this leftist rhetoric that they've been given, and they're seeing Islam for what it really is.
Yeah. And I think what's important is what you said earlier, Nick, is that Christians are good under persecution. Most of the time they rise up. And I think we've had it easy in the West so far. And, it'll be good to sift the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good opportunity to grow. And then when you start connecting to God, going, God, I need you to help me get through this. I can't do it myself. Then you start getting real strength, real power.
Yeah.
You're not powerful without that.
Yeah. Because when you've got nothing but God,
that's all you need, though, isn't it?
That's all you need. Exactly.
When you've got everything without God, then you really have nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's like you said, treasure not for yourselves treasures on the earth where moth and rust corrupts and thieves break through and steal, but treasure for yourselves treasures in heaven. And then he says, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So your heart, which is the core of who you are, it's not like your heart muscle. It's the center of your being is what that means. That is the part of you that's connected to God. Jesus has told us that. Treasure for yourself treasures in heaven, where your heart is, there will your treasure be also. And that's why, and the heart, this is a really important concept that I don't think a lot of people understand. The heart is your will. It's the things you want. It's the things that you hold to be the most important. That's why they call it, like, it's a symbol of love, because the things you love, you hold on to really tightly.
It's the desires, your desires,
Yeah. Now, if your desires can be really corrupt, and like it says in the Jeremiah, he said, the prophet, he says, the heart is desperately wicked. But we can have it, who can know it? But we can have a pure heart, and that's what the goal should be. And then we're connected to God directly through the heart, because remember, the kingdom of God's within us, but it's through the heart. We're just a conduit. Our soul is just a conduit between the physical and the spiritual, because and that's in Genesis where Jesus, not Jesus, where God says, God and Jesus, but he says, he made man out of the dust, the physical, and he breathed his spirit into him, and then so you got spirit and you've got physical. Then he becomes a living soul. So we're a conduit between two worlds.
We are.
And when you realize that, we need to maybe stop focusing so much on the physical and realize, no, there's this other part that's far more important that we need to connect with. That's where the real power comes from, which is obviously the elite people of this world who don't worship the true God, but they worship the God of this world, who's Satan. They know the power of that knowledge, so they're
Yeah.
cutting it off
Yeah.
so that people don't know it. This next generation is losing that understanding of the spiritual things. But there's a revival coming back. There's
Yeah.
been people that have been martyred, shot, and killed.
Yeah.
All that information, and now people are looking at it, going, you know what? There is a God.
Yeah.
And even just the other day, I went out shooting at a mate's property, and he's coming back to church, and he said, look, I don't even know if I'm a believer, but I can see the value in this, and I've got children now. And then he's bringing his other friend. So I'm doing some fellowship with him, but it's just beautiful to see men that I've trained in the past at my gym, young guys growing up, and they're realizing the need for God.
Yeah.
It's
Praise
beautiful.
God. Yeah, that's the beauty of everything that's happening in this world. Like I'm actually excited. Like part of me gets concerned about, the takeover of Islam, but I just think, this is the time that Christians can shine and really
100%.
show their faith and their courage and their strength. Yeah. And God is glorified, because it's not even about us. It's not what we do. It's what God can do through us.
Yeah, the best Bible verse that I share with people, that when they ask, when I talk to them about purpose, is I say it's clearly expressed. So this one Bible verse, he said, you're a light to the world. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So the light that you share isn't physical light; it's the spiritual light that enlightens their minds, the mind's eye, to the things of God, truth, justice, goodness, mercy, love.
Amen.
When you and let's use the example of courage. It's one thing to read the definition for courage in a book, but when you see someone live it out and you see it in real time, that then changes you, and you become inspired. Only if you've got eyes to see, and you become inspired, and you go, I want to have that. I want to be that. I want to emulate that. And that's what we can do, but we can only do it if we've got it. And the only way we get it is through the hard work that we go through, the refining fire and the persecution that makes us stronger and builds our character, like you were talking about before.
Yes. Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming on and having this discussion. God bless you. And I'm encouraged by you. I'm inspired by you. And I think you've inspired a lot of people too. And stay strong. And say hi to your beautiful family.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to share some thoughts, and thanks for doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. God bless.